So thank you very much for everyone for coming here today. We're going to be going over the Indigenous Learners in Accounting Initiative from the CPA Western School of Business. So the tailored CPA certification program is created through collaboration between the CPA Western School of Business and the Aboriginal Financial Officers Association of Alberta. Today we're going to have some guest panelists. Peter, the one walking around now, is an ILA learner taking the IMA course, or the Introductory Management Accounting. Justice Michael is an ILA learner currently taking the PEP Core 2. And Joshua Latendre, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is one of the instructors for the ILA. My name is Sean McQuillan. I'm the Senior Indigenous Student Recruiter at CPABC here in British Columbia. And I'm very excited to tell you about the program. And for more details, I'm also going to have a pre-recorded panel of myself just explaining it in greater detail. Let's do a quick overview of everything before we get to the panelists so everyone understands what the program is exactly about. And let's see if I... Perfect. Now, we're just going to skip that. Now, across the Western region from coast to coast, CPA Canada and CPA BC in particular, we honor the contributions, heritage, stories, and cultures of the many Indigenous peoples past, present, and future, as we reaffirm our commitment to practice good relations and furthering the steps we've taken towards reconciliation. And these programs are exactly part of that. So why work towards becoming a CPA, which is a great question to ask off the bat. The CPA designation is key to having a successful career in accounting. It's important for business and finance, and it provides skills you can use to create limitless opportunities and expand your career path. CPAs bring their education, expertise, and high ethical standards to organizations in every industry around the world. And every CPA I've ever spoken to, it's about problem solving. It's more than just accounting. It's about solving different problems in different industries. And with what we're working with Indigenous band reporting, it's very interesting because it's a problem that we understand better than anyone else. So this is why we're encouraging more people to pursue their designation. Now, what is the Indigenous Learners in Accounting Initiative? The CPA Western School of Business and AFOA Alberta joined forces to create and offer prep courses and CPA PEP modules for Indigenous learners. In collaboration with all the Western provincial CPA bodies, such as CPABC, where I'm from, CPA Alberta, CPA Saskatchewan, and CPA Manitoba, we've all had crucial specialized educational opportunities for each of our region's Indigenous peoples and all of their learners. And so these courses and modules are designed to meet the CPA certification program requirements, but they also incorporate Indigenous culture and context within the program. Now, the CPA Professional Education Program, or CPA PEP for short, is the graduate level education component required to obtain the CPA designation. The program is designed to enable learners to simultaneously work full-time and study part-time. It consists of 6 modules focused on preparing CPA candidates for a career in business and accounting, targeted toward mid-level to management level positions, such as the ones that were shared at the beginning of the presentation. Not sure why that says that. The CPA prep courses are 14 bachelor degree level courses that are required prerequisite courses for entry to the CPA PEP. So we've got the 14 prereq courses. If you're taking like an accounting program or a commerce program, you usually probably cover most of them. And if not, you can take the remainder through CPA Western School of Business or a post-secondary institution. But we're offering specifically Indigenous prep courses as well. But let's go to this. All prep courses and CPA PEP modules offered as part of the Indigenous Learners in Accounting Initiative have been designed and tailored specifically for Indigenous learners. Courses and modules are taught by Indigenous instructors and supported by Indigenous facilitators, with Indigenous culture and context woven in throughout. In-person learning sessions are an integral part of each course and module to facilitate discussions, create a sense of community within the cohort, and provide opportunities for peer and learning support. As of summer 2024, the session offerings, CPA is offering 3 of the 6 CPA PEP module courses as part of the ILA initiative. We've got Core 1, Core 2, and Assurance Elective module when you're taking the actual PEP courses, the graduate level courses. And for the prep courses, we offer Introductory Financial Accounting, Introductory Management Accounting, and Intermediate Financial Reporting. So of the 14, there are 3 available that have been indigenized. Now, to learn more about the CPA prep courses and the PEP courses, visit the website cpawsb.ca/ILA. The ILA is for Indigenous Learners in Accounting, and view all the course overview videos. There you can find more about all the courses, the entry requirements, the course module structures, the costs, and the registration schedules, and more. Now, I'm just doing a quick overview because we're here for the panelists. If you want greater detail, I'll have another recorded presentation coming up soon. But I'm excited about the Indigenized courses primarily because we've had a big situation where we've had a lot of non-Indigenous people doing the reporting for Indigenous bands. We've had people who don't understand each nation's culture commenting and critiquing people's accounting and their reporting to government. So as part of self-determination, when we have, the pursuing to get lawyers and other professionals within Indigenous communities, I'm finding that the need to have accountants, to have CPAs in particular, because it's legally required, is something that will give us more greater self-determination for everything. Sorry, but I'm going to get started with the panel just real quick here. Can everyone just quickly introduce yourselves? Peter is the one still on my screen over everyone else for some reason. So let's start with Peter real quick. If you do a quick introduction of who you are, where you're from, and what you're taking.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I am on the West Coast well, actually in Whitehorse, Yukon right now, but I'm a Tack River Tlingit citizen and have worked for Tack River Tlingit for over 20 years and currently working for another First Nation as well. I, over my career, have managed various departments for the First Nation, been president and CEO of various groups of companies and assisted other First Nations. So taking this course is something that, as Sean has said, is so often other people, non-Indigenous people, are making, ultimately decisions or providing advice that lead to decisions that I found in my experience don't really take into account everything that happens in the community. So my interest is to try to affect change in that. And that's what brought me to the course, and just better understanding of financials after years of, getting other people to do that work. So thank you, Guneshish.
It's interesting, Peter. I find a lot of people taking them are people who work already in like their band's financial branch, or they're people who have already had a career, but they just don't have a designation, and they realize how much benefit that would provide them and their nations. So I'm glad you're doing it. We'll go to Justice next, if we may. Justice is another person participating in the courses.
Hi, so yeah, like Sean said, I'm Justice. My last name is Michelle. Sorry, Sean. And I'm a bit of the anomaly here of that I don't actually work in my band or anything like that, but I am an accounting technician for an agricultural-based firm, and I am a member of the Northwest Territories Métis Nation. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Justice. And we've got Joshua, who's an instructor.
Hi, everybody. Joshua Latender, member of the Métis Nation of Alberta. Here, based out of Edmonton. I grew up in Lac St. Anne, which is about an hour west of Edmonton. And my career's taken me a few different ways, and teaching's been one component that I really enjoy, and honored to be a part of this program. And so I taught the intro financial accounting last year, and then intro management accounting right now. And then looking forward to the next iterations of intermediate financial reporting that's coming next. So,
thanks, Josh. You know what? Well, since you're here, let's start with you. I'm just asking you a quick question. Why did you decide to become a CPA, and how did that transition into teaching right now?
well, I like telling the funny part of the story first of why I became a CPA. And the funny part is, well, I was told I was good with numbers, and so naturally you had to go to be an accountant. So the stereotype that fit that is how it kind of started. But as I got through more courses and more of the education, I really appreciated having the understanding of what the numbers meant. And then being able to apply that into the problem solving side. And so I see it more as the problem solvers, not just the number crunchers. We're really involved in every aspect of every business. And so that's really my passion behind it, is that I get to be a part of any facet of business. And then the teaching component, I was really lucky that I had one of my instructors at post-secondary offer me a position to do some lab tutoring. And that's really what got started down the teaching path. And from that, I realized that I really enjoy being in a classroom, being with other people and sharing what I know, and learning from others on how they understand things. And so a big piece for me is that I'll teach you how I know how to do something, or the way that I was taught. And that may be the way that means something to you, like that means the most on how you can understand it, but other people may tell you something different, and it's all part of learning and understanding. And so I really enjoy that side of things, and why I'm a part of this program and why I enjoy teaching these courses. So
Thanks, Josh. Justice, because you're in the PEP courses, you're actually going towards your designation. What was your inspiration for pursuing a CPA?
I kind of have the same start journey as Josh there, where it was kind of, I love numbers and it was kind of suggested to me to take accounting. So I went through with that and kind of finished with my degree and was kind of like, oh, is that kind of it? Like, I didn't feel quite finished with my professional development journey and my educational journey. So I decided I would just steam on ahead right out of my degree to keep going with my CPA and pursue the designation. And I've been having quite a bit of fun so far, and I haven't hated it too much yet. But yeah, I think it's been a really fun opportunity to explore different areas of accounting that I wasn't quite exposed to through school.
And why did you decide to take specifically the ILA as a traditional route?
I actually was almost on the fence of not doing the ILA program, and Jackie had actually reached out to me personally and was like, "Hey, I saw that you identified as Métis, and we have this pilot program, and we had a really good connection there." And I kind of decided I would step out of my comfort zone a little bit and pursue this pilot program and see how it went. And so far, so good.
That's great. And Peter, you're doing the preparatory courses. What helped you decide to take the program?
So you can tell by looking at me that I've been around a little while, and so over the years, capacity development in community is such a challenge. And so, in my work, we developed a number of different attempts at building capacity. And what I learned, what my team learned, is that the problem really laid with us, not the citizens. We just weren't reaching people where they're at, helping them to overcome barriers and challenges. And so we would set them up to fail. And so we modified training at home to address that as best we could with the capacity that we had. And so when I saw this program and saw some of the, my early understanding of the support that was available, I thought, this is incredible. This is, I really got to see what this is. And, it will help me get through the program as well. And so, I just thought the support that was offered was key. And just, not only for me, my mind was not only about me, but about others as well who would be interested. And so what I've seen so far is it's just an amazing, supportive, welcoming program. And that part of it, the support that was offered, I could see was key in helping me make the decision.
It's a sense of community because you have other people who are Indigenous taking it as well and have different come from different backgrounds, right? It's not all just high. No offense, Justice. It's not all fresh graduates. It's people from all different walks of life, right?
Yeah.
And Justice and Josh, you guys were both part of the first intake. Sorry, like you guys, excuse me, Josh, you've been teaching since the first intake. How's it changed from the first to second? You guys notice any evolving so far? Oh, what is this? Ignore that. Keep going.
I can go first here. I've noticed within the second session here with Core 2 that the involvement on like the back end of everything kind of feels like it's like really elevated this time around, whereas like the first time it was kind of like, oh, we're not entirely sure, but we're kind of figuring out the kinks as we go, and this time around it's a lot smoother and it feels a lot more, there's a lot more confidence in the programs that are being delivered, and the support that is available has also expanded and grown, and I find that's really amazing.
And Josh, as an instructor, it's a second intake. How do you feel things have evolved?
I think it's evolved quite well, and something that I've noticed, you know, the first intake we had our initial group, and you know, to Justice's point, yeah, we weren't sure what the total program was going to look like, and now with the interest, getting more people involved, I think we're getting a better idea on how this is going to evolve and continue evolving. If I can be so bold to say over the next few years and hopefully years to come after that. But to have more learners be a part of this, we've had new learners join into the second iteration here on the IMA side that I'm teaching right now, as well as our new intake for IFA, the financial accounting one, the first one. As well as on the core side, the core 1 and core 2, we've had additional people. And so through word of mouth, through CPA, Western School of Business, through the CPA provinces and AFOA, I think we're getting the word out that this is a really important program. It's making an impact. And for those that get to be a part of it, it's going to make a difference for both themselves as professional development and higher education, as well as their communities and their families that they get to go back and share that knowledge with them. So I think we've seen a lot evolve over the year that this has been going, and for me, I'm super excited to see what's to come for the next years.
So, Justice, you like numbers, and this is something you wanted to jump into. Peter, this is more of a back end thing. You're like, wow, I want to see how I can personally learn this from almost from scratch. So, what's your first impressions? Like, what were your expectations? So, Justice, you came from a bit of an accounting background. You probably had different expectations than say Peter. So, we'll start with you, and we'll go to Peter.
Yeah, so I kind of went in expecting to have a bunch of stuff to read, and I felt like I might struggle to keep up with my assignments having a full-time job and all this stuff. I know it's totally doable, but it definitely was a worry that came. And but the reality was I didn't really need to read a lot. Coming right out of my degree, I knew a lot of the material. It wasn't anything brand new or anything. It was more of refreshers and all of that fun stuff. But and I didn't find I struggled to keep up with the assignments as bad as I thought I would, which was great. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I was really surprised by myself.
That's great. And Peter, what were your original expectations, and how's that changed?
Well, that's good. That's a good question. My original, I was pretty nervous, honestly. You know, I worked, I guess, tangentially, peripherally to accountants, and my role was, overseeing things, and so um, I was pretty nervous about. I know the accountants do a lot of stuff, and like everybody, I think I thought accounting is all about numbers. Like if you can do math, and I'm pretty decent at math, you can be an accountant. But there's so much more to it than that, and I kind of had a sense of that at the beginning because I'd been doing that other stuff, but not the number stuff, and not understanding the full gamut of accounting. So I was nervous, and once I got into the program, um, I thought, you know what, this is not bad at all. And then I think 2 sessions in, I'm going, holy smoke, this is a lot of new information for me. And monitoring my time to make sure I put in the right amount of time. So I was ready to quit. And then I had conversations with a couple of friends. One is a CPA, and I got an email which tipped the scales for me. I got an email from support at the program, and it was just a friendly reminder to say, if you don't put in the time, you're going to have a hard time. And I wasn't putting in the time. So I started to put in the time, and lo and behold, things started to roll out easier and smoother. And again, the support that was offered and encouragement, continuous encouragement, I find extremely helpful.
And for those that come from a non-accounting background, how do you find does it feel like a safe space? Does it feel like no one's judging you if it takes you a little longer? No one's judging you if you've got other commitments and you're trying to figure out how to balance life and balance that out. Because I think it is difficult to get your CPA. There's no doubt about that. But within this program itself, if you maybe have a little more support, a little more understanding, if you have to maybe miss a in-person thing, or if you have to, I need to review this module again. Do you find that's really supportive? Yes, Justice. Yes, Peter. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a couple of my candidates in my cohort here have had to turn around because of a family emergency or something while en route to the in-person sessions, and they've been so wonderful about it. They get home, and if they're able to jump in on a Zoom call, we bring them in and we don't let them kind of be left out or anything like that. So it's really lovely.
Yeah, I just reiterate that. And, I can't stress enough the difference between my experience in post-secondary at universities and colleges over the years, where it's pretty distant. You're distant from the professors, from the instructors. And in this program, I was going to tease Josh at the beginning there when he said he's from Edmonton, but the background is, it's going to take a few more years of global warming to make Edmonton look like that. But anyways, the kind of support and the one-on-one time is like no other program. It's fantastic.
And Josh, what's the difference between teaching like an indigenized program versus like other accounting? How does this feel different to you as a person?
Yeah, Sean, I love that question, and I've been asked it a few times. And I think one of the most common misconceptions of this is that we're teaching Indigenous accounting. And that is not the case. Accounting is still accounting, whether we're talking about IFRS standards, ASPE standards, we're talking management accounting, we're talking audit, tax, whatever it is, accounting is still accounting. What's different about this program is how we go about teaching it. And so the concepts stay the same. As I said, accounting is accounting. But instead, my favorite example in lots of textbooks for accounting, we talk about a ABC company producing widgets. And I don't know about anybody on the call, but I have no idea what a widget is. However, we talk about a food truck company. Well, I think we're all familiar with a food truck company, and there's a lot of Indigenous people who have a food truck or are very familiar with that. We can see what that is. We talk about a beading company or a company that makes tans moose hides. These are all very real things that we're familiar with, grew up around, and part of our culture. And so I think the difference between this program and a non-Indigenous program in accounting is that we have a bit more thought put into some of the examples and the relatable side of things, where as a class, as a group, we get to talk and share our real life experiences that, hey, this is something we're all familiar with that's not so foreign. This concept, although it may be new to us, it's really something that we've seen before or can put into a picture where, hey, I know what this means and I have an example to go with it. And so for me, that's the biggest thing when I'm teaching this, having the examples, having the textbook that's been indigenized, where we see different artworks, we see different companies with different organizations that we're familiar with from our culture. And I think for me, at least, when I teach that, it makes all the difference for me. And I hope that the Learners Justice and Peter, I think they would agree that having those examples and those class discussions that are more meaningful make all the difference. And again, I have to reiterate, accounting's still accounting. We haven't changed what accounting is. We're just teaching it a different way. So.
Josh, I think you answered like 3 questions of mine right there in that answer, and I love it. No, it's fantastic because it's like, what are the benefits? And the benefits, as you're saying, are like, this is culturally appropriate. People feel comfortable in their shoes. They go, oh, I remember this, or oh, this is something that is relatable. You don't always get relatable course materials when you come from Indigenous background. You're almost studied like 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 anthropology. It's not, you're not actually, you don't feel like you're a living person. Like, oh wow, this is something oh yeah, I grew up with. And so I think the aspect of having that is something that it provides, you know, a welcoming space, and it provides comfort and provides, you know, community, which is important. It's always important. So Justice and Peter, just to follow up, what's your favorite part about like having like Indigenous aspects to the materials? Like, have you learned about like, oh, I didn't know about this, or like, what's your favorite part so far?
I would say like my personal favorite is definitely the in-person sessions and getting together with the rest of the candidates and having discussions about the cases and the materials and having that, just all of that connection. It really helps personally, and I hope it helps them. But and it's just like a really safe space for everyone to talk and get any problems that they have out of the way with the materials or anything like that, and get the support that we all kind of need every once in a while.
And Peter, what's your favorite part of the indigenized content? Like, what's something that has stuck out for you?
Well, it's the same. It's the in person. You know, you're in the classroom, and you know, we're like a community. We're, you know, like a family. Everybody's engaged with everybody. There is no um, bad or wrong or, you know, question or anything like that. It's just so much openness and comfort, welcoming. You know, I really feel warm and welcomed and by everybody, like all of the support staff, Josh, the instructor, my fellow students. You know, and I'll just say I'm the only dude in the class, and everybody's just like, you know, it's great. It's I feel you know, through the program and through some of my struggles, where I would normally kind of beat myself up and maybe lose confidence, I find that that cycle in my brain is not occurring. I can make a mistake and I don't beat myself up for it because there's such support all around me that, oh yeah, so yeah, I made the same mistake, or oh yeah, I thought that too, or you know, and there's complete openness that so that those in person sessions, and even you know after you go to a few of them, you meet people and then you start to have side conversations, and that has been you know just so helpful for me.
And Josh, you notice an improvement in people after they do the in-person sessions? Do you notice like that makes a significant bump in their not grades, but you know, in their ability to learn the material?
Absolutely. I think the the best part about this program on the in-person and self-study side is that we have a balance between the two. You know, it's really important that you are doing the pre-readings, that you are doing that work. Peter touched on it before, where, you know, I have to put in the time myself. But then once you've done that, you get to a point where you might get a bit frustrated. You might not fully understand what the textbook's saying, what the quiz meant, and you get a couple questions wrong. And I think that coming together in person is that safe space where we all get to hash it out. We get to talk, hey, what does this mean? What's the issue with this? Why did we choose this answer or that answer? What part of the textbook did we not understand? And how do we go through that? With a few students, we've talked through an individual study plan where, hey, we're at this point, it's not quite making sense on the self-study side. So how do we change it? And we've kind of broken it down into pieces and found a way to say, okay, by the next in-person session, when we get to spend some time together, how can we get further along so that it's making more sense? And so that ability to share that stuff together in person is great. As much as I can teach something one way and maybe even two or three ways, when you learn from your peers in the class and you ask a question and somebody else can answer that question, our classroom is structured so that we have learning families, and within your learning family, if each other can help, like you can help each other answer those questions, then it's not always me that's answering them in my way that you may not understand the first time. It may make sense afterwards, but by having that open discussion, you get to hear it in some slightly different wording, a different example or whatnot. And I think that just goes to further that understanding of whatever concept it is. And we don't get that opportunity to do that remotely. As great as, we do have a weekly office hours webinar component as well. And those are great we go through certain examples sometimes, whatever, but still coming together where we get to be together and share and having lunch, talk about our lives and what we got up to and where our struggles might be and where our successes are, all adds to that relationship, that community building that really, I think, makes a difference in ultimately helping understand the content that we're going through. So
Thanks, Josh. And it's something where this was asked. We have a Q&A, by the way, if anyone's curious. You have to activate on the bottom there. And at the end, we'll answer a few questions. But there's one that matches one of the questions I had here. And it's just, this is great that there's all these supports, that there's a community and everything, but still, it's a bit of a challenge. So like, how do you balance the work-life aspect? And Justice, you mentioned, you're finding a way to do that. And Peter, you said you had difficulty initially. So like, what any strategies or tips that you give anyone?
Yeah, I think so. The difficulty for me was I just wasn't putting in the time. I always tell myself that everything is going to be easy, and I lie to myself like that. But I put in the time, and I also reached out to friends who I knew were in the field, and of course to the program, the encouragement through that, and then. I'll say that in reading the text, and I think Josh and Justice have already mentioned this, but I'll say it again: is you read the stories of the business models, and I remember one business model, problem that was about a couple in Nunavut who were starting their business, and because I traveled to Nunavut, and met people there and could really relate to that story, even though I'm not from anywhere near there. But I could identify with the kind of national, scope of it, and took comfort and confidence in that. And it also helped me, do what I think Robert has shared with us a couple of times in the program is, how important it is that we do put in the time and seek help when we need it, because the work that we are doing for ourselves, for our families, is going to be really helpful, not only for our families, but also for our communities. And, those kind of reminders about what it is that we're actually doing when we, build our skills, were really helpful for me, reminders to kind of dig in and do that extra bit, reach out when I need to. And yeah, I'm just really I feel blessed to have come across the program.
Thanks, Peter. Justice, how do you find your balance?
Well, with core two, it's been a great difficulty. I had to work through tax season and try to keep up with my core two work, and that was quite difficult. Add in the family aspect, and you have no more time basically for a little while. But I found it was, yeah, difficult, but I also had to like internally reflect and just say, hey, like I don't have time almost for myself a little bit. So I had to make sure I scheduled out time for myself so that I wasn't forgetting about me, because I'm the one that's putting in all this effort for this. And while it's not just for me, it's for everyone else and the generations to come and all of that. But you have to remember to also take that time too. So it was a lot of struggling, but I think we've figured it out a little as we've gone through them all. So
I'm glad to hear that. I want to give time for people to ask some questions at the end. So I'm just going to ask two more if that's all right. First, what advice would you have someone getting started on their journey and looking at taking these courses? So we're going to start with Peter because you're doing the prep courses and you come from out. So this is different. And then Justice, what kind of advice would you want to give someone as well? So we'll start with Peter and back to you, Justice.
Yeah, thanks. For me, making the decision and then committing, to it. And so that, you have to really sit down and slow yourself down and decide, what is it that I do want to do? And then, make that decision to commit to the program, know that you're going to be putting in time, make the plan to do that. But as you're doing that, if there's any questions in your mind, then reach out and ask, I don't know, people like myself, or I think more appropriately, like Jackie in the program and others in the program, and be reassured. But once, it's always the case for me, in I guess in life, is, once you make a decision, then follow through and know that what the future holds for you is amazing. Yeah, so that, I guess that would be the advice, just to bite in, jump into the deep end of the pool, so to speak, and do it.
Thanks, Peter. Justice, advice?
Yeah, Peter kind of took mine because it's really you gotta jump in and go for it because you don't really know what you can accomplish if you don't try at all. So it was difficult, I think, for me to make the decision because I was like, I don't know if I will really fit in with the rest of the Indigenous learners or what have you, because I have a little bit of a different history with my Indigenous background. I didn't get a lot of that growing up, so I thought I might be a little like alienated in a way. But I was like, you know what? I just got to do it because it's not just for me; it's for everyone. So.
And, Justice, that's very difficult because that was the plan, is to alienate people by being being whatever. And so there's people who feel guilt just for being Indigenous naturally. And that's something that I find, thankfully, Indigenous communities are very open, very welcoming, no matter who you are and where you're from. Like, you're part of the community, you're part of the community. I hope that's what you're experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Josh, I'm wondering, what's the most rewarding part about being a CPA? You're a CPA before this whole thing existed.
Yeah. I think for me, if I can speak specifically about the program so far and what's been rewarding is hearing some of the stories, and we've heard Justice and Peter talk, there's some challenges. This doesn't make the program easy by any means. You still have to put in the time and the effort. And again, accounting's still accounting, right? We're still learning a concept here. But for me, I think the best part that I've been able to hear from some of the learners is the impact it's made. And I'll share one story real quick, and that is that one of the learners working for their nation in an accounting related role for some of the companies, and kind of gets a task list. It's told, hey, we need to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and get this stuff done. Great, I can work through this and do that. And she shared with me that after taking the IFA course last year, it was actually just before the end of the course, that they were going through their next round of some budgeting and preparing financial statements related to the budgets and stuff, and said that in the meeting when they were talking through this stuff, typically they were the ones that had prepared it or put the numbers where they needed to go and kind of presented it. But they weren't the ones that really knew the ins and outs of it. And they said that for the first time in this role, they were able to participate in that meeting, understand why certain questions were being asked, answer some of the questions in saying that, hey, we've done this budget this way because of, and provide an explanation. And so for me to hear the impact that you've taken this course, an intro financial accounting course based around Indigenous learners, and you've now taken that back to your nation. You're participating in meetings, and able to make an impact. For me, I think that shows all the success that this program is, both individually and for the program itself. I think that's what we're really striving for here. There's other stories, and I can share another, like, real quick. Another one is, somebody was grocery shopping, and we just finished talking about income statements and balance sheets, and we think about your bank account. Really, that's your cash, that's your balance sheet item that's there. You have a house, you have a vehicle, those are on your balance sheet. Those are things that you have. And when you go grocery shopping, that ends up on your income statement. Those are expenses where you're buying groceries, you're buying things that your family needs, and taking that accounting concept of a balance sheet and income statement into, oh, hey, as I'm spending money on groceries, what does this mean for me and my family when I get back home? And I think that if that doesn't show that this program is being successful and making an impact, I don't know what else could show that. So for me, that's some of the most rewarding part, to be a part of it and have those experiences with the learners. I think is absolutely amazing. So
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I think honestly, I have the prereqs. I'm considering taking the IFA myself, to be perfectly honest, because it just seems like such a good program. And even though I don't know if I ever intend on becoming a CPA myself, I think the skill sets from all of this are just so universal. And even if I'm trying to encourage people when I meet them, even if you're hesitant about pursuing your CPA, although I would like everyone to pursue it, take the prep courses, get in there, get interested, because this is stuff you can take back to your regular life. You can take back to your other jobs. It's important, and the skills and community are still something that you can benefit from for a long time.
absolutely.
And so we're gonna see if there's any last questions over here. There's only a few that are not answered, and if anyone has any, quickly type in the Q&A. Otherwise, we're probably gonna have to wrap this up. For Perry Large, who answered here, for Manitoba, where are the course attendance locations? Right now, at the beginning and end of each session, they are in person, and you have regional satellites, I believe. Is that right, Josh?
Yeah, and satellites are in person. And I saw somebody else ask the question of how often is it in person? Typically, we meet once per month, so about every 4 weeks in person over a weekend. And then we have a weekly webinar where it's kind of like an office hours where you get to ask questions or just sit and chat, whatever you want. So
Oh, showing I don't even know. I can view other participants. And Ethan has raised their hand. I will see if I can allow them to talk. Hi, Ethan, go ahead. Feel free to ask your question. No, oh, maybe they just lowered their hand. That was an accident. Jackie. Sorry, I'm new to this. I'm trying to figure this out. Sorry.
Hey, I'm trying to, am I on the air?
On the air.
Oh, yay. So I just wanted to answer the Manitoba question, actually. So we are looking at getting a satellite session for IFA only at this time, in the Winnipeg area. That said, it will depend on course registrations, whether we have enough interest and enough people to actually make that make that concept a reality. So with that, if you are not in Winnipeg, we would potentially get you into Saskatchewan if we have the numbers there. And the default, of course, will be Alberta. So Edmonton at this time would be the default location. We might look at Calgary as well. So I just wanted to address that. Thanks.
I mean, Jackie, just look at the weather I got here in Edmonton. Who wouldn't want to come to Edmonton here?
I hear ya. I wish I had that same background.
I think
I'm in Edmonton as well.
I think that's the Canucks background because they all left after losing. Sorry, I'm from Edmonton, so I'm happy that they went. And Trevor, would you like to talk? No.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, this is Trevor Moore, and I'm calling from Saskatoon here, Saskatchewan. I'm in the IFA right now, and I'm just wrapping that up in July, and I'm scheduled to start core. My question is, what is CPA's plan on students moving into core? Like, do we do that on our own time now, online?
Jag,
I guess-
Am I on the air again? I can never tell because I'm looking at the screen, so I do
I can
apologize.
hear you. I can hear you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Trevor, moving into core is just exactly the same as the current core students that we have. So we'll put you through the registration process, make sure everything is all good with the transcript, make sure that you're qualified for it, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we put you into the course session. And then obviously the self-funded fees, that kind of thing. So you would just casually just move right in there if it all works out, okay?
Do you know which core class CPA will be offering next?
We have core 1, core 2, and then we will have, I believe, assurance. So yeah, so we're good with that. That's
So
the
that's gonna be
next.
Is that going to be in Edmonton still, and is that the fall?
Yes, that will be in Edmonton in the fall.
All right, thank you. That was my only question.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you.
We got a question from Jennifer Moose, and slowly we'll have to wrap up. But go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh, let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, good. I just had a quick question about the intake. So is it just a once a year intake for the Core 1 module for the Indigenous one? I think I got about a year, I got about 4 courses in prep before I can start planning for that. But I kind of wanted to make sure that I don't have a big gap or, kind of trying to plan my future here.
Sorry, can you just repeat that question?
Like, is there more than one intake, or is it just like winter is when Core 1 starts for the Indigenous Learners module? Or is it like, I can't remember what the exact dates were, but when does it start? Is there only one intake and then you have to wait a year, or is it twice a year you can do the intake?
Okay, so can you hear twice? The intakes are 2 a year. We are scheduling them at that pace right now. We don't know what the future looks like in terms of trying to increase that, but that's what it is right now. So there are 2 intakes. The next one would be July, August.
Okay, so then the one after that is in what, just January, is it?
January, February.
Okay, so there'll always be one July, always one summer and always one winter kind of thing, right?
Basically, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good question. If anyone has any other questions, this convenient list right in front of you, we have registration open for the summer 2024 sessions. Depending on what province you're in, you can email any of the following emails for BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. What is going on with my screen? And their phone numbers are there as well. Thanks so much, everyone, for attending today's session. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Justice. Thank you, Peter. If anyone does have any follow-up questions, and if anyone has any follow-up questions for the panelists, I might be able to forward it to them if they're curious. But beyond that, thank you so much for being here. Great. Yay. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Sean, and thanks everybody for joining.
Yay.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
I have no idea how to end this. I'm just going to stand around here until someone helps me end it. Lower right. Okay, bye everyone.